Hey, Vsauce, Connor here. You might have heard the song What is Love by Hathaway, but have you ever wondered to yourself what love really is? According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, the definition of love is a feeling of strong or constant affection for a person, or attraction that includes sexual desire, or the strong affection felt by people who have a romantic relationship. However, it can also be used to define an object of attachment, devotion, or admiration. An example would be saying, baseball was his first love. Already, the definition of love has many meanings. So, are we to assume that all these definitions of love provoke the same feelings? So, is the love of hockey the same thing as feeling love at first sight? The obvious answer to this question is no. But why is the answer no? Well, first off, let's categorize the different kinds of love. For describing the categories, I'm going to be using the definitions of each category described in C.S. Lewis's book, The Four Loves. The first type of love he describes is storge. Storge is known as the brotherly love, or love through family. It is loving someone even though you might not share a single thing in common with them. But because you're both family, you love each other anyways and accept every aspect about them. The second type of love is philia. Philia is referred to as the love of friends. It is a strong bond created by two people who have the same interests. It's mostly a dispassionate love, but it's more rather known as a virtuous love instead. An example would be saying, OMG, I totally love my BFFs. The third type of love C.S. Lewis describes is agape. Agape is known as the love of God, or any God. This type of love is considered to be a form of unconditional and selfless love. This form of love is a one-sided relationship where you are the only person giving. This is where the love of an inanimate object applies. For example, if you were in love with hockey, if you're in a relationship with hockey, it's only going to be one-sided. Hockey is never going to remember your birthday and is never going to text you first. Yet you always buy it presents and always work hard for it. The last type of love is eros. Eros is known as the sensual, romantic, and lustful love. This is the love we will be spending most of the show exploring. The word eros is almost as vague as the word love. Greek philosophers gave the word many different scenarios and meanings. Some saw this as an emotion of lust and love at first sight, whereas others thought that it didn't always have to have sexual desire. However, philosophers could all agree on one thing. They can all agree that eros was an emotion that could identify and contribute to the definition of beauty and truth. For example, Plato thought that a platonic relationship, a relationship without physical attraction, could make a person see his or her own version of what true beauty really is. For one person, beauty could be only on the inside, hidden inside personality and emotion. Whereas for other people, beauty could be displayed on the outside, maybe through athleticism and a rocking six-pack. This type of love, eros, has always been a popular subject. As it should be. Without it, humans would lose desire to mate and reproduce. But how popular is it? Well, according to Stats Canada, in 2011, around 46.4% of the population over the age of 15 were legally married, or were legally married at one point in time. That means that there was almost a 1 in 2 chance of you getting married at one point in your life. Just yesterday, 7 out of the top 10 songs on iTunes were based on love. If you think about it, love is everywhere. How many Christmas commercials are based on impressing your loved one? So, love is everywhere, and it's a pretty important part of our lives. But why is it such an important part of our lives? Why aren't we just like seals and impress another seal, pick a mate, reproduce, and never see them ever again? The answer actually lies in our evolution, and over thousands of years of complicated courting and mating has proven to be the most successful. One person who was more curious with this question and wanted to go deeper was respected anthropologist Helen Fisher. Fisher wanted to explore this topic more and figure out how the brain responded to different kinds of love. She wanted to prove that emotions and chemicals involved with love have been around in humans since the Ice Ages. To prove this, she conducted many tests using MRI machines to take images of the brain and show which areas go through the most activity. Surely enough, the data showed lots of activity in very primitive parts of the brain. We use the word primitive as in they haven't evolved significantly, proving that love has been in our identity for more than thousands of years. Helen Fisher was also responsible for developing the 3 stages of falling in love. With these stages, she was able to figure out what hormones were involved with each step and how it affected the body and mind differently for each one. Her first stage of falling in love was lust. She describes the lust stage as a sexual drive that originates back from prehistoric dates. This involves 2 key hormones, estrogen and testosterone. And the funny thing is these hormones are not just exclusive to females and males respectively. Some sources state that testosterone may play an important impact on women's sex drives as well as men's. The second stage is attraction. This stage is the head over heels section, where couples will get so obsessed with one another that they will miss sleep, have lost appetite, and might prioritize their new lover over other things in their life. At this stage, the brain will start to somewhat go crazy, releasing many different hormones. Some include serotonin, norepinephrine, dopamine, and certain pheromones. All these chemical love machines all feed back into the brain's pleasure center. And this stage is more described as where the passion really comes from and where the jump really happens in many relationships. So after being with someone for years, eventually the second stage will sort of turn into the last stage, called attachment. Attachment is the highest level of bonding and commitment, but it's also the stage where things start to get a little complicated. Once in this stage, instead of constantly going crazy, the brain starts to calm down and starts releasing 2 more key hormones, oxytocin and vasopressin. These love hormones make the brain feel good. Not only does attachment make the brain feel good, but it also has many great other effects on the body. And being in a state of attachment, researchers have found that this seems to be a big factor in longevity and living a healthier lifestyle. However, once people reach this stage of attachment, many couples will start to feel very mixed emotions. Since their brains are no longer in attraction mode, couples often seem to lose interest in sexual activity. But the vast majority all seem to remain very happy despite this fact. Researchers think that it's a mix between the security of the relationship and a bit because of the oxytocin and vasopressin. Most couples don't seem to mind or notice very much that they haven't been as interested in their significant other. But for some couples, it can create an odd situation, being perfectly happy, but not feeling the same emotions they did in the early attraction phase. This is a topic where a lot of research is being done. One book that caught my attention was Mating in Captivity by Esther Perel. In her book, she points out some very interesting characteristics about the attachment phase and how to deviate from the comfort zone to bring that excitement and uncertainty from the attraction phase while still keeping that security from the attachment phase. One of her great examples in her book is using the little boy Sammy to make an analogy with the relationship. In her book, Sammy loves to explore. He loved making maps and trying new things. But after every day, he always came back to a warm house where he would check up on his parents to see if they were still there, and to get food and relax before his next excursion. Esther points out that the only reason why Sammy ever went out exploring in the first place was because he always had a safe house to return to. Esther mentions that if long-term relationships were seen this way, that ordinary couples could reinitiate the spark that they used to have in the attraction phase. In the end though, no matter what the situation is, whether you're eyeing up your future lovers or are already committed into a deep relationship, love is a vague word with millions of different unique definitions. But in time, all love leads to the same destination that the Greek philosophers discovered thousands of years ago. All love leads to your own unique meaning of passion, truth, friendship, and beauty. And as always, thanks for watching.